Hello everybody, Jennifer Maker here. It is a beautiful day to show you how to make amazing etched wine glasses and matching etched wine bottles. Now, if you think this project is too advanced for you, I promise it isn't. Etching is actually a really simple process, and I'm going to break it down step by step so you are sure to be successful. And there's a twist. We are going to etch in reverse, which I actually think is easier. So if you've never etched before, you are going to love this. Let's head on over to the craft table and we'll get started. I always say I love how many different things you can make with a Cricut cutting machine, and this project is probably one of my favorites. I've shared a few different projects that involve etching glass before, everything from casserole dishes to serving plates, even these adorable cookie jars, which have a permanent home in my kitchen. One of them holds dog treats. We even etched glass ornaments and stainless steel tumblers. This etched wine bottle with the beautiful dragonfly design that we made a couple of years ago was actually the inspiration for today's project. I thought it would be fun to make a set that includes both a wine bottle and glasses that match. And I'll even show you how to customize them. Now, applying the vinyl to the glass can be pretty tricky, but I've got a great tip for making sure you apply your stencil nice and straight. It might involve this little thing, and I cannot wait to share it with you. Now, the materials are pretty simple. You'll need an empty wine bottle. I bought these in bulk so I can make a few for this tutorial, but you can definitely use a bottle that you have on hand. A clear or a green bottle works best in my opinion. We'll also need wine glasses, and there's a link for this specific glass in my materials list, but you can really use any wine glass. There's no limitations there. The really important ingredient here is Armor Etch glass etching cream. That's what makes the magic happens. But this stuff is powerful, so make sure you have all of your safety equipment ready to go and definitely read all of the safety instructions before getting started. I'll be using a mask, gloves, apron, all of those safety things along with some butcher paper to protect my work surface. We'll also need some permanent vinyl to cut the design. Any color is fine, along with some standard grip transfer tape. And we'll use alcohol to clean the glass and a good paintbrush to add the etching cream onto the glass. I recommend a bristle brush, not a foam brush. Now, I use my Cricut Maker 3 cutting machine to cut my stencil designs in this video, but an original maker, any Explorer, or even a Cricut Joy cutting machine will also work, along with all the standard tools that you see here. One other thing you might like to have are some fairy lights. These are special lights where the light is actually the light switch is right here in the cork, and they just come this way. So they're really cool, and the link to these is in my material list as well. So, are you ready to learn how to etch glass in reverse? Let's get started. Step 1, get your etched glass designs. I've prepared etched glass designs for both wine glasses and bottles. To find them, go to jennifermaker.com/450 and look for libraries in the red bar at the top. Then either click Get a Password if you don't yet have one, or click Enter the library. You can find the designs on the page by searching for number 450 and then click it to download the zip file. There are 5 files in the folder. A design featuring butterflies, a design for Hanukkah with 3 different spellings so you can choose whichever one you prefer, and a design for Christmas. You can cut these by hand with a craft knife, but it's faster and more precise to do it on a cutting machine. So I'm going to show you how to prepare them to cut on a Cricut cutting machine. Upload the SVG cut file of your choice to your design software. If you're not sure how to do this, go to jennifermaker.com/svgs to learn how to unzip and upload files. Step 2, prepare and customize the stencil design. Here's a look at all of the designs on the canvas in Cricut Design Space. Each file includes the design for the wine bottle at the top and a wine glass at the bottom, and some separate additional shapes on the right. All of the designs are sized for a standard 750 milliliter wine bottle and a 12-ounce stemmed wine glass. I'll show you how to reverse etch the Christmas design on a stemmed wine glass and a standard wine bottle. So first zoom out a bit so we can see the full design and click Ungroup at the top of the Layers panel. The Christmas wine bottle design is approximately 9.3 inches wide by 6.5 inches tall. The Christmas wine glass is about 7.5 inches wide by 2.7 inches tall. There are also 8 1-inch wide snowflakes that you can choose to add separately around the neck of your wine bottle and the base of your wine glass. If you don't want to use all the additional snowflakes, you can select one or more of them in the Layers panel and remove them by clicking Delete at the top. If you're etching the designs on a different sized glass or bottle, enlarge or reduce them accordingly. You'll need to measure the height and circumference of your bottle and or glass where you want your design to be. Then you can use those measurements. The circumference will be the width of the design to resize the designs. To adjust the size of the design, first select it on the canvas. Then either click and drag a corner of the bounding box to resize, or just type a new dimension in the width or height box at the top menu under Size. Remember to keep the lock icon closed to maintain the design's proportions. If you ever accidentally change a design to the wrong size, remember you can always click on the Undo button at the top left. And if you need any help resizing an SVG in Cricut Design Space, check out my resizing guide where I explain exactly what you need to do to resize any design to fit your needs. You'll find it at jennifermaker.com/resize. Now let me show you some customization tips for the Christmas wine glass design. You can follow the same steps to customize the star in the center of the Hanukkah wine glass design, and the butterflies design is ready to cut as is. Now if you look at the wine glass design at the bottom of the file, you'll notice there are 2 strings of lights with a blank space in between them. This is where we'll put our text. Click on the text icon on the left-hand side of your screen. A box with text highlighted in it will appear on your canvas. Now, without clicking anywhere else, type in the text you want. I'm going to type Greg for this wine glass. Click the drop-down menu under Font in the top menu to see your font options. Remember to click the System section to find fonts that you've downloaded. I'm going to use the font Andala script, which you can download from fontbundles.net, but feel free to use any font you like. Zoom in so you can see the details. Move your text into the blank area and resize it to fit. Again, you can click and drag on the corner of the bounding box to adjust the size, or you can enter a font size in the top menu. This looks great at 45 points. Make sure your text doesn't get too close to the other elements, or it may be hard to read after etching. Once you're happy with the placement, hold down the Shift key on your keyboard and click the wine glass design and the text that you added. Then click Attach below the Layers panel to ensure the text cuts in the correct spot on your stencil. Your design is now ready to cut. Step 3. Cut the stencil design. Select the correct machine in the top menu and click Make It to move to the Prepare screen. A pop-up window might appear asking you how you want to load your materials. Select On Mat 12x12 and click Confirm. On the Prepare screen, make sure your designs are laid out correctly on one mat. Do not mirror your designs since we need them to face the right way on the glass and the bottle. You'll need to cut your bottle stencil, glass stencil, and additional snowflakes apart with scissors after your machine cuts the designs. To make sure there's enough space between them to do this, I recommend you move them apart from each other on the screen by clicking and dragging each object. Then click Continue to move to the Make screen. Under Set Base Material, I'm choosing Premium Vinyl Permanent Glossy, which is permanent vinyl. I always change my pressure to more for a cleaner cut. And make sure your Cricut fine point blade is clean and ink clamp B as indicated on the screen. Now put your permanent vinyl shiny side up on a green standard grip machine mat, making sure it covers the correct design areas visible on your screen. Use a brayer to get the vinyl as smooth as possible on your mat. Then load the mat into your Cricut and press the flashing button to begin cutting. When the cut is complete, unload the mat and flip it over onto your work surface and gently roll back a corner to release the vinyl. If you have any trouble cutting the vinyl, check out my Cricut tips and tricks for cleaner cuts at jennifermaker.com/blades. Step 4. Prepare the stencils, glass, and bottle. This project uses reverse etching, meaning the words and snowflakes will be clear and the rest of the bottle and glass will be etched. Because of this, we can weed the designs as we normally would for a traditional vinyl project. So weed your vinyl with your weeding tool by removing the parts that you don't need from the design. Don't forget to remove the centers of any letters and the center pieces of the snowflakes. It helps to have a pair of scissors handy to cut away the excess vinyl as you go. Once everything is weeded, cut around each design group so you have 3 separate pieces: the bottle stencil, the glass stencil, and the additional snowflakes. You can cut the additional snowflakes apart if you like, but I left mine on one sheet. To prepare your wine bottle and glass for good vinyl adherence, wipe them with alcohol and a lint-free cloth or coffee filter. This will remove any dust or oils that make the vinyl stick less. Then set them aside to let them dry and avoid handling them with your bare hands. Next, we'll move the vinyl stencils from their carrier sheets to the glass and the bottle. You'll want to focus on one stencil at a time. I'll start with the bottle. Cut a piece of transfer tape slightly larger than your stencil. Remove the backing from the transfer tape. Apply it to your wine bottle stencil using my taco method. This just means to hold the transfer tape in the shape of a taco or a U shape, and then put the bottom of your taco onto the middle of your design. Smooth the tape over the decal from the center outward to minimize wrinkles and bubbles. With the transfer tape in place, run a scraper tool or other hard and flat-edged item like a store loyalty card all over the project's front and back with medium pressure. Before removing the paper backing from the vinyl, wrap the stencil around your bottle to get an idea of where you'll be placing it. You may want to put some gloves on so you don't get any fingerprints on the clean glass. Pay attention to the seams on the sides of the bottle. You'll want to make sure those don't end up right in the middle of your words. Trust me, I made this mistake when testing and it doesn't look good. But I make the mistake so you don't have to. And I have a great tip to make sure this doesn't happen to you. So once you've got your stencil wrapped around the bottle with the seams where you want them, look at where the left and right edges of your design are. They should be almost touching. Take a small piece of painter's tape and use it to mark this spot on the bottle. You can place it above where you'll be adhering your design. Applying your stencil nice and straight can be difficult, but a little preparation right now will help. Here's another great tip that I mentioned earlier. Draw a horizontal line across the center of your transfer tape, parallel with the text, with a ruler and marker. If you aligned your Cricut transfer tape nice and straight on your stencil, you may be able to use the horizontal grid lines instead. Then, when putting your stencil on your bottle, you can position your horizontal line so that it's parallel with the bottom of your bottle to apply the decal nice and straight. Now, flip your design over and remove the paper backing from the vinyl. If your stencil is still sticking to the backing paper, replace the transfer tape and burnish again. Your bottle stencil is now ready to use. Lay the design face down on your work surface and line your bottle up to one end of the stencil. Make sure your words are facing the right direction. Now rotate the bottle until the piece of painter's tape is just lined up with the edge of the design. Now lay the bottle down on the design, making sure it's nice and straight. Slowly roll your bottle onto the stencil to apply it to the bottle. When you get to the end of the design, the bottle will be completely covered with the vinyl. Burnish down the vinyl to the bottle with your fingers. Then remove the transfer tape from the bottle. I began to remove the tape from where the two ends meet. You may have one end that has overlapped the other a bit, preventing the vinyl from adhering to the bottle. If that happens, pull up the transfer tape that is in the way, push down the other side to the bottle well, and then begin to remove the transfer tape slowly. If there are some vinyl pieces that are not stuck to the bottle, push them down again with a little more pressure and continue to remove the transfer tape. Don't forget to remove the piece of painter's tape too. Once the transfer tape has been removed, go over all parts of the design with your fingers and press down any vinyl that may not be adhered properly. Make sure you wear gloves to keep the bottle clean. Remove all bubbles as best you can. If you have some spots in the vinyl that have creases in them, carefully use your weeding tool to lift them a bit so you can lay them flat. This step is really important as proper vinyl adhesion stops your etching cream from bleeding into areas that you don't want it to etch. If you cut additional snowflakes, you can apply some of those around the neck of your bottle now. I peeled mine off the backing and applied them like stickers with my fingers. You can also cut a small piece of transfer tape and use the same process as earlier to transfer each snowflake individually. Use whatever method works best for you. I applied 3 snowflakes to the neck of my bottle. If you apply the snowflakes with your fingers, you may need to clean the neck of your bottle with some alcohol after you've finished to remove any oils or fingerprints. This will help you get a nice, even etch on your bottleneck. Now we can move to our Christmas wine glass stencil. The process is a bit different for the glass as its surface has more curves than the bottle. Cut a piece of transfer tape slightly larger than your stencil, remove the backing, and apply it to your wine glass using the same taco method I outlined earlier. So just hold the transfer tape in the shape of a taco, and then put the bottom of your taco onto the middle of your design. Smooth the tape over the decal from the center outward to minimize wrinkles and bubbles. With the transfer tape in place, run your scraper over the project's front and back with medium pressure. Applying your stencil nice and straight can be difficult, but a little prep right now makes a big difference. Draw that horizontal line across the upper part of your transfer tape, parallel with your text, with a ruler and marker. If you aligned your Cricut transfer tape nice and straight on the stencil, you may be able to use the horizontal grid lines instead. Then when you put your stencil on your wine glass, you can position your horizontal line so it's parallel with the top of your glass to apply the decal nice and straight. Now flip your design over and remove the paper backing from the vinyl. If your stencil is still sticking to the backing paper, replace the transfer tape and burnish again. Before you apply the vinyl to the glass, cut small slits around the outside edge of the transfer tape, but make sure not to cut into the vinyl. These small slits allow the transfer tape and the vinyl to bend around the glass and curve to the surface, preventing bubbles and creasing. This is super important for an etching project because you don't want any of the cream to get under the vinyl. Your glass stencil is now ready to use. Now bend your design into a taco shape and lay the middle onto your wine glass, smoothing it from the center outward with your fingers. Make sure the letters are well adhered so you can easily read the text once your wine glass is etched. If your horizontal line slants down a bit on the sides, that's okay. I've made these designs so that the sides don't have to be perfectly straight. Remove the transfer tape from the glass. It might come off in pieces due to the slits, but don't let that worry you. If there are some vinyl pieces that are not stuck to the glass, be sure to push them down again with a little more pressure and continue to remove the transfer tape. Once the transfer tape has been all removed, go over all parts of the design with your fingers and press down any vinyl that may not be adhered properly. Remove all bubbles as best you can. If you have some spots in the vinyl that have creases in them, use your weeding tool to lift them up a bit so you can lay them back down flat. This step is really important, just like before with our wine bottle, because the proper adhesion of the vinyl to the glass stops your etching cream from bleeding into the areas that you don't want to etch. If you cut any additional snowflakes, you can apply some of those around the base of your wine glass now. I just peeled mine off the backing and applied them like stickers with my fingers, just like I did with the bottle. But you can use a small piece of transfer tape instead, of course. Use whatever method works for you. I applied 4 snowflakes to the base of my glass. Remember, if you apply the snowflakes with your fingers, you'll want to clean the base off with some alcohol. That will help you get a nice, even etch on your entire glass. Step 5, apply the etching cream. Now remember, safety first. Be sure to read the etching cream's instructions and guidance on accidental exposure before proceeding. Etching cream is caustic and you don't want to inhale it or get it in your skin or your eyes. Before opening the etching cream, be sure to put on a pair of safety goggles, rubber gloves, an apron, and a fitted respirator. If you do come into contact with the cream, follow the bottle's directions immediately. Work in a well-ventilated area or outside with a flat surface on which to work. Cover your work surface with butcher paper before you begin to protect it from the etching cream as well. You may want to use 2 sheets as reverse etching does get pretty messy. Now shake your etching cream in the bottle really well before you open it. Note that new etching cream works best for this project. The older the cream is, the more difficult it will be to apply and the less even the etch is. Now set your timer for 20 minutes. I etched my wine bottle separately from my wine glass, but the directions are the same for both. I recommend etching one item at a time for the best results. Apply the etching cream to the glass with a regular paintbrush. I recommend you avoid foam brushes. The larger the brush, the better, as there's a lot of surface to cover here. Use your brush to move the etching cream on top of your stencil. Brush up and down, side to side, and diagonally. Work in sections and keep the cream moving as you go, getting it into every nook and cranny. Keeping the etching cream moving around the surface will result in a deeper and stronger etch. You'll want to use a generous amount of etching cream, enough that you can no longer see the glass showing through. This will help you get more even etching over the entire surface of your bottle or glass. And don't worry if you get some etching cream on the butcher paper, that's why it's there. And here's a good tip. You can rotate your bottle while applying the cream by holding onto it at the top near the opening, since you won't be etching that small part. When applying the cream to your wine glass, don't forget the stem and the base too. I covered my stem last so that I could hold onto it and use it to rotate the glass as I applied the cream everywhere else. Once you get to the stem, try your best not to touch the etching cream that's already on the glass as you cover the stem. I put my hand inside the top of the glass and used my fingers to rotate the glass from the inside. Since you have protective gloves on, it's okay if a little bit of cream gets on your fingers. Just make sure to rinse it off when you're done and try not to get it inside the glass. After the entire surface is covered, apply more cream in areas where it looks thinned out and let it sit on the butcher paper until the timer goes off. Overall, the cream needs to stay on each area of the glass at least 5 minutes. I found that covering the entire bottle really well with cream took me about 15 minutes, and covering the entire glass took me about 10 minutes. It may take you more or less time, but 20 minutes should be enough time to create a nice, strong, and even etch. When the timer chimes, you can remove the etching cream. Keep your protective equipment on. If you used a lot of cream, scrape it back into the container to be reused. Rinse the remaining cream off of the glass under running water into a plastic or metal sink. Be sure to get all of the etching cream off the glass before you remove the vinyl stencils. You do not want to accidentally touch it or get it on the work surface. Dry the item well and remove the stencils. You may need to use your weeding tool to help remove some of the pieces. Just be careful not to scratch the glass. Give the glass or bottle a final rinse after all the stencil pieces have been removed, and dry it off. Step 6. Add lights to your etched bottle. The etching is nice as it is, but you can make it pop even more and add some color at the same time by adding fairy lights inside your wine bottle. You'll need a strand that is at least 3 feet long and has a cork at the end with a switch on it. The ones linked in my materials list worked great for me, and they even come with extra batteries. First, turn your lights on to make sure they work. You may have to insert batteries if they didn't come pre-installed. If batteries are already installed, you may have to remove a battery protector tab. Then, feed your fairy lights into the bottle, insert the cork at the top, and enjoy. It's as simple as that. Then dim your lights and enjoy the effect. Aren't these awesome? Here's what my finished etched wine glasses and glass bottles look like. I just love them, especially the bottle with fairy lights inside. This is a great way to create beautiful home decor for the holidays or anytime, using some of those empty wine bottles that you may have sitting around. And a set of wine glasses would make a great gift. Now, it's important to know that etching glass is not an exact science, and getting the etching just right takes some practice. If you notice some areas of your glass that aren't fully etched, you can do another round of etching to cover them up. Just use painter's tape to cover the parts of your design that you don't want to etch, and then press that painter's tape down really well. Then set your timer for 5 minutes and etch that section again. Then rinse and enjoy. So please let me know if you have any questions about etching that I didn't answer here, or anything else craft related that I might be able to help you with. Just leave your question below this video, or better yet, ask over in our crafters group at jennifermaker.com/CricutCrafters. And be sure to share photos of your finished projects with me. I love to see what you make. And that's it for today. Until next time, this is Jennifer Maker reminding you to craft a life you love.